Healthy and not so negative stories in LATAM. When I was 8 years old in elementary school, I was bullied by older girls for wearing glasses. They would always wait for me during recess, and this went on for months. Until one day, they called me to another class, and when I entered, everyone was wearing glasses to make me feel better. Many of them who didn't need glasses started wearing them, even the teacher. From that day on, they never bothered me again. That was the nicest thing anyone has done for me to this day. I was born and lived my whole life in a slum in the southern zone. Almost 3 decades later, after a lot of effort, blood, and sweat, I was able to become independent and move to Palermo. Some people criticize my choice of neighborhood, but I was tired of all kinds of violence. It's not true that you get used to gunshots, or attacks with sharp objects, stones, or daily threats. It's not true. I'm still mentally messed up, but I trust that I'm slowly recovering. When you have nothing to lose, you have everything to gain, I suppose. We started a company with 3 friends. No funds, starting from scratch. Today, 15 years later, we are doing well. We have 4 employees, decent salaries, a good work environment, and a lot of growth expectations. It's difficult, but it's possible. My wife grew up in a small town with 700 inhabitants, an alcoholic and abusive father. She didn't even know what yogurt was, and she only got to know candies because they were shared with her at school. She left the small town, started working, and studying. To make ends meet, our diet was rice, plain noodles, and tea. I was even poorer. I remember my feet hurting every day from wearing imitation sneakers provided by the government. I preferred to walk barefoot. I didn't have a backpack or even a colored pencil. I ate at the school cafeteria, and I remember having tea with bread for dinner. Once, at my first decent job, I saw a girl who captivated me. She reminded me of the dark-skinned, big-headed girls from anime. Due to life circumstances, we always crossed paths at night when I finished work. She graduated and continued studying, almost finishing her degree, while I had a government job, but nothing political or well-connected. We got married, and we are not rich, but we have 2 children, and we try to give them what we didn't have. P.S. It's not for everyone, but many times there is light at the end of the tunnel. Next week, I will celebrate 6 years of sobriety. I left behind all the toxic friendships, got separated, and honestly, I'm very proud of myself. From the age of 13 to 18, my family fell into almost extreme poverty. We didn't have enough to eat. Our utilities were cut off because we couldn't pay. I didn't have internet to do my school assignments, and I didn't have electricity to study. My older sister was physically, verbally, and emotionally abusive towards me. My mom was deeply depressed and attempted to abandon us several times. I switched to a school. It was a public school, but the students came from middle-class to upper-class families. My classmates had peaceful lives while I was miserable. For the first few months, I felt envy and even resentment towards them. However, we became friends. I never told them about what I was going through, but I think they suspected. They saved me. I had no special qualities, but for some reason, they cared about me. They made up ridiculous excuses to buy me lunch. Since I couldn't afford textbooks, they made copies for me with their own money and gave them to me. They took me on vacations. They picked me up from my house when my sister was being violent. My best friend's mom even bought me my own set of sheets and towels to use at her house. I suffered from bullying for almost my entire childhood. You have no idea how strange, wonderful, and incredible it feels to be loved when for years you felt like your life wasn't important to anyone. My ex-boyfriend also saved me. He was a 16-year-old who, instead of using the money his parents gave him for himself, gave it to me no matter how many times I tried to reject his help. At 16, he cooked so that I could bring food to my mom. When I got a part-time job and had to work at night, he was always there waiting for me so I wouldn't go home alone. For as long as I can remember, my life was one tragedy after another. For years, I thought I would never know true happiness, the love that goes beyond blood. I felt so alone and wondered every day why I was born if my only destiny was to suffer. There are no words to describe how much I love my friends. I am overflowing with gratitude. My friends are proof that there are angels on earth. To them, it wasn't a big deal. We talk about it today, and they downplay it. They don't know they saved my life. They don't know they were my calm and refuge. A year ago, my best friend Augustine passed away. During the first few weeks, I only spoke to the girls in my class. One day, he approached me and said, "You don't talk to the guys." That's not right. From today on, we are best friends. It was a joke back then, but it became true. He was the one who let me into that group. He saved my life. Before he died, he told me his dream was to become rich, to buy land in Patagonia, and start an animal shelter. Sometimes, I feel very sad because the world lost such an incredible person, but the mere fact that he existed fills me with hope. I recovered from anorexia. I haven't self-harmed for 6 or 7 years. I overcame, because you never forget, but at least now I can lead a normal daily life, the sexual abuse I endured in adolescence and one in adulthood that literally drained the life out of me. I got a position in the company I wanted to enter for 5 years, and the experience is much better than what I idealized. I no longer have panic attacks on the street. My family doesn't go hungry like in my childhood, and now I can even take them on vacation. I feel more comfortable with my appearance. I've left behind many places/people who were bad for me. I'm no longer afraid of loneliness, because I learned to live with myself. I managed to make friends with whom I can share things. I do many things I want when I want. Nevertheless, I still have a lot to improve and heal. But you can go very far. I saw my friend who spent all of kindergarten and primary school as an orphan being adopted and having the most beautiful smile of happiness I have ever seen in my life.